I'm TC, and I'm here to continue your guitar studies with you. And so we did lesson 1.1, and now we're on lesson 1.2. But we'll just recap a little bit. I introduced you to the concept of position change, which means you take an interval and then you subtract it from 12 to find out what its position is. So if I had a 1 here, 1 from 12 is 11, and that gives me this. And so 1's like 11s. Then we took 2's. 2's like 10s. 3's like 9's. 4's like 8's, and etc. You always subtract from 12. And that's because there's 12 notes in an octave. So the reflection of an interval, or the PC, position change of an interval, is always subtracting from 12. So that was what we started off doing. And you can use some of these things, like this interval 1. We showed you how it has a resolution. The resolution is to a 3, so it can go. Or you can make little musical phrases out of those. Right, and that's really... So 1's have a resolution, 11's have a resolution, and so if 1 from 12 is 11, and 1 resolves to 3, what's 3 from 12? It's 9. So 3 is like 9. So here. And now I'm using the same notes. It's the D and a B. And I put the D on the bottom and the B on the top. And so I get this. Right? That's all that's going on. Okay, so that's position change. And so now today I want you to understand that you can do little exercises, and in our Sibelius files, or the PDF files that you can get, we have little exercises. So here's a 1 exercise you can do. So it goes so it's very nice. You can add those little that's just ones. I'm not thinking about chords, right? The idea is to think in terms of intervals, which is fun on guitar because it's shapes, right? Intervals have a shape to them. And so that's what we're going to do. Now, if I want to connect to the diatonic system, which is how everybody else thinks, okay? So chords, in other words, chords and progressions. 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 progression. So it'd be... Okay, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, that sound. Well, chords are made up of scale tones. And so you have 1, 3, 5 as a major chord. So in G, it's a... Okay, but we're only going to use two notes out of that. Let's just use the 3rd and the 5th, okay? So that's this guy. And that's a 3. And threes go to nines. So this is going to go to a 9 or below. So you can hear there's an affinity there. But the secret is you don't have to go to the 9 of those exact notes. You could pick other notes so you're not locked into it. So in other words, threes like nines just generally. So okay, so that's just an example of a 3 going to a 9. Okay, and I just want to put a root tone in there. So, and if I'm going to play this 3, and it's also scale tone 3 and 5 over its root, I can now start thinking in terms of progressions. So what if I have a progression in, let's say, fourths, okay, descending. So if I'm on G, it's going to, fourths ascending, G, C, F, B flat, or fourths descending, it'd be, right? Those are the different roots. So let's move around what would be called the cycle of fifths or cycle of fourths using the position change of the 3 and the 5 chord tones, which is a 3 interval, going to a 9 interval. But when it does that, the 9 interval will be the 3 and the 5. They'll just switch positions of a new chord root. So watch. Okay, so here's the 3 of the G and the 5. And now here's the 3 of the D and the 5 is below. So the 3s and 5s have switched, right? So and that starts to become musical. Right? You can start making little songs out of the understanding of how the intervals work. And so 3s like 9s. Now, that's just the theory, but you can do whatever you want. You can break them up. So I can put scale tones in between, but here's, if I just break it up, watch. Okay, so it becomes, and you can just keep going if you want. Because all I'm playing is a cycle of fifths in the bass. I'm holding the bass and playing the chord tone 3 and 5. It could be -3 and 5, but that's a little different interval, so we're not going to worry about that. Because -3 and 5 would be a 4 interval in our system, because we only have chromatics. We don't look at whole steps and half steps, okay? Anyway, so not to get sidetracked with that. So in lesson 1.2 here, I wanted to show you some different things on how some of that can work over root cycles. Root cycles are just the root tone moving. So you can actually take the exercise all the way, right? And in addition, you can change the bass note a little bit, because maybe I want to go. Okay, in that case, I might go. Right, so that would be. That means that I'm actually moving my bass, which you'll have a PDF of that to see it. But these are to set you up with little exercises, so you could do. Now, that's all sort of lesson 1.1. We want to be in lesson 1.2. In lesson 1.2, I want you to learn the Lydian scale because you're going to write a song now, okay? The reason we're doing this on the guitar is so you can use your guitar to compose music. And I don't just mean chords, just, I mean actually writing little songs. And so you hear people talk about the modes and all that stuff. So we're going to start with the church modes. And the one church mode, which is the brightest mode, because there's an order of brightness in the church modes, the brightest one is the Lydian mode. And the Lydian mode is like a natural major scale with a raised fourth scale step. So here's G, Lydian. So you can play a nice little melody. That's a Lydian, right? So. Okay, so the Lydian in G is a natural major scale, same exact notes, in D. So I'm really playing a D major scale, but a G root, I'm thinking. However, modes are determined by where you stop with them, and they leave you with different emotions. So Lydian mode, you want to hear, right? So the Lydian mode keeps you up in the air. It's bright and it's light, and that's why you float, because you're light and bright. And the Lydian mode's a very bright note. And so wherever you are, if you're using Lydian, you want to know the fourth step of the scale is what makes it Lydian. So that's the normal major scale, right? And you can combine them. And now all of a sudden you have subtlety in the flavor change in your little melodies. So your first assignment is to learn the Lydian mode and learn it on G. Just learn it on G. Okay, and here's what it is. Up the next position. Next position. Now that's a D chord. Okay, so all those notes sound like, oh, it wanted to get me there. If I never hit that D chord, I feel like I'm floating. Okay, so if I never go to the D chord, I stay on G. I end on G all the time. feels like it wants to keep going to here. And that's the beauty of the Lydian mode. So what I want you to do is I want you to learn position change on those two chord notes, 3 and 5. And I want you to practice this. That's the octave, takes you all the way to the octave. Then I want you to practice playing the chord tones broken up. Okay, it can go both ways. Okay, so you can go both ways. And practice that. And if you're using a pick or your fingers, get used to what it feels like with those distances so you can. Then I want you to put in some of the passing tones, which are not the 3 and the 5. So we're gonna use the notes that make the Lydian mode sound Lydian, which is the sharp 4 or the raised 4th step. And in G, it's here, right? So I want you to learn this. Because that you were going, right? So. And you can actually play the whole scale if you wanted, holding the bass note here. And that's what I'm doing. Cross frets. So you can do things. You can do 2. But it's just stick with 1. But so I'm holding with this finger. I want you to get used to the Lydian mode. So your assignment is to take your time, learn the G Lydian, okay? And once you have kind of seen where all those C sharps are, right? The C sharps here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one way up here, right? There's a bunch of C sharps. Instead of C's, here's a C, you want a C sharp. Right? And if you were to play, if I started off with a little G chord here, this is going to be an open voicing G chord. So I'm only playing 3 notes, okay? It's pretty sound because this is a Baroque sound, so. Right, it's very open sounding. Okay, if I just played the scale with all those notes, I get. And that's nice. Right? Very simple 3-part chords. You don't have to do that, but I am going to show you the way you get this change. Take this little G chord here. See, it's just this, right, those three notes. Take this guy, put him down here. So now you got, and the reason I'm playing you all those chords so you can hear, that's the sound of the Lydian mode, because I always come back to this. Because it wants to resolve, it's so bad, it wants to resolve to this. Or, that's what it wants to resolve to. So, if you want to give people the uplift in your song, start off with thinking, oh, I'm going to write it in Lydian. I want to write that in Lydian mode. Okay? In the Lydian mode. And you're going to get a very bright sound. And so part of what I want you to do is spend time writing a little melody. Okay, what does that mean? Well, in the old days, when, let's say, 600 BC, when you were a shepherd and you had your flute and your sheep are out there and you're by yourself and you come from one of the city-states, let's call it Lydia. You come from Lydia, okay? And so you got your Lydian mode. That's where it came from. So you're sitting around and it's calm. There's no wolves. The sheep are happy and you're happy. It's a beautiful day. You're underneath a nice shady tree. You're just listening to the, out there. And so you make up a song, right? And maybe it's only Lydian notes because it's a carved wood flute and only has 8 notes, and those are the notes, right? So maybe you just go. That's a Lydian song, and that's called a plain song. And a plain song, in American songs, it's like Home on the Range is a plain song, right? So I want you to make up a song, and you want to keep it in phrases. So you might write this for a phrase. So. That's a phrase. Okay, and then you kind of answer that phrase, right? And that's your A-B section, right? Now you're going to write it something different. Maybe you go to a different range. You hear how it really wants to go here, but you're going to end here. And then you play this little 3-part chord at the end. Okay? And then you can continue your story. You can talk to your sheep. So this is a little history lesson. You have this in the 16 or 600 BC. You had the Greek city-states. And so all the modes came from there largely. So the Ionian mode, which is the natural major scale that you're used to hearing, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that's the Ionian mode and the city-state of Ionia. And so that's almost the same as the Lydian, but the Lydian has a raised 4th scale step from the Ionian. The Lydian is the brightest mode of all of them. The next one is the Ionian. Okay, so that's the order. There's 7 modes. They're called the church modes, and it's all the same notes. It's just where you stop and where you start, and that gives you the feeling of your general emotional feeling. If it's a minor, it's dark, and then there's different levels of minor. So if you want to write a song, you want to be a songwriter and use the guitar, you need to know where the emotions are, because maybe you're sad today. Well, okay, so you can play a minor chord, but if you understand the mode, you're going to be able to get more out of your song, and especially if you understand how the intervals work. And so that's why I want you to just be able to go, okay, those 3 chords are all in the Lydian. I'm playing 3 chords, but notice what I was playing. G, D, A. Those are the major chords in the Lydian, in the G Lydian. The G Lydian, it doesn't have a dominant chord the same way a normal 7th chord would be, because the normal 7th of G would be a D, and it's a major 7th chord to get there. Normally it'd be a dominant, so you have right, that's dominant, but now it's major 7th. That's not the same. So that's lesson 1.2. And so become familiar and write a plain song. Make up a plain song. Try to make it in sections, like you got an A section and a B section, and if you want a C section, you can. A is a normal A, B, A, or A, B, C, A. All those letters just mean that you have a little different twist on your tunes. And try to write a nice melody. And here's a hint, a composer's hint. Before you write, don't just visualize your emotion or try to realize your emotion only. Actually have a picture in your head. If you're using Lydian mode, maybe it's, okay, I'm going to write something bright and something that makes me feel good. I'm going to picture children in a park laughing and singing and swinging and doing all the stuff the kids do. Because that sets your mood. That's the mood you want to convey, then have a picture in your mind. It really will help. Because now you're describing the picture. Maybe the kids are moving fast, so maybe those kids have a lot of energy. They've been eating sugar for their break, Okay, so that's 1.2. And we'll get into all the different root cycles, probably 1.3. The root cycles, just to introduce you, are just basically a cycle of equal intervals, but in the roots. So if I have fourths, or let's say I have fifths. Okay, here's a fifth. Here's another fifth. So if I play them in a row, playing these fifths in a row, right? And fifths are actually, this interval is a 7 in our system. It's a fifth because it's the fifth scale step, but it's a 7 chromatic distance from here to here. Okay, so. And what are 7's position change of? Subtract 7 from 12 and you get 5. So 5's are diatonic fourths. Okay, so 7's are diatonic fifths, and 5 interval to us is a diatonic fourth. So I can put them together. Here's 7's, 4's. Put them together. Right? And that gives you a lot of different sounds, because like power chords are always, with the 7 and a 4. I'm sorry, 7 and a 5. Right? Because this is a fourth and this is a fifth. So it's a 7. That's a power chords. Right? That's why they're powerful. Okay? But you can spread them out. So open up your fifths and like this. It's pretty now. When you put 7's together, you get a really pretty sound, okay? I don't want you to study that yet, but what I do want you to do is write plain songs. I want you to focus on this little exercise. I want you to focus on that. Know that every time you do that exercise, the first 3 chords outline the Lydian mode that you were in starting on the first bass note. So if I'm in G, I'm outlining the G Lydian by doing that, okay? So that's a good thing for you to know. So I'm going to actually share my screen now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and so you'll have it in your lesson here. These notes here, these red notes, these are the root tones. Okay, these are the bass notes. You don't have to play those. But if you can't play them, try to play them, okay? And this is the tab, so you should be able to see this pretty easy, right? This is an E chord, and then this is a B chord, right? So E, B, and this is G flat, which is really F sharp. So I'm just going around fifths. This is the fifths, right? So it's basically this sound. So that's that first 5 bars there. Okay. And that'll get you that will get you to understand how these look, and then you can practice them however you want. Okay, you can practice them and break them up. Okay, here I'm showing you how to break them up, and here's the tab. You got the tab, and so this I'll just play the letter D. Okay, so watch. So you just follow the cycle. So okay, and these first 3, section 3 here, these notes all belong in the Lydian. You see it's got a C sharp and an F sharp. If you don't read notes, then that's okay. You just read the tab. So it starts off with every 3 bars you're outlining another Lydian. If you wanted to look at it that way, you don't have to. So you got 1 Lydian here on G, another Lydian here because this is E, B, F sharp. So it's a Lydian on E. This is a G flat, but it's also a F sharp, okay? Just so you know. And if you don't read notes, you don't have to, okay? This is breaking up the bass notes and adding to the roots, okay? So you can practice that. That's all written here. So if I play the first bar to... Right? So it's just... Because I'm trying to get the bass note going. Okay? That's that. And this is if you wanted to start... Letter F is if you want to really start walking your bass. But it's the same notes on top. You're just adding it. And it's all in the tablature here for you. Okay? This is the open voicing that I showed you. And it's still going to be, this is the fifth and the third. It's going to the third and the fifth and the fifth and the third. And same thing, but I'm starting with that open voicing so you can see what it looks like here on the tablature. You don't have to hunt for it, okay? So that's as far as we're going to go for this lesson 1.2. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get you back to me. So the thing about intervals, once you learn it, the reason why I'm showing you the Lydian mode and the chord tones and how they equate to intervals and vice versa is because it's two methods of thinking. So you're really learning two methods. One isn't better than the other. They just cover different areas. Because if you understand how intervals work, then you see a lot of other possibilities. So if I want to harmonize a tune, right? So this can be... Okay? If I know how intervals work. I don't know what those chords are. I'm not even worried about that. All I know is the melody. So I know the melody. And if I want to learn the tune the way the composer wrote it, I'm going to learn the name of the chords. Exactly, right? But in this case, it's just two chords. And then they go to... Okay, very simple chords. But if I want to stretch out and just have fun musically and let my ear take me into new realms, then I want to get to intervals. Because chords have intervals in them, so they connect easily to the intervallic thinking. Scales have intervals in them too. They're made up of what we call ICs, interval combinations. A scale, like the Lydian scale, okay, if I tell you what it is, it's going to be a 2. That's a 2. Another 2. Another 2. Then a 1. So it's 2, 2, 2, 1. And then from there, it's a 2, a 2, a 1. Right? So there's 2 1s in it. It's just where they are. So what's the formula intervallically for a Lydian scale? It's 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. How difficult is that? So it doesn't matter if you're in G or you're in A or you're in E or you're in B flat, because if I know it's 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, wherever I am, I play 2, another 2, another 2, then a 1, then a 2, then a 2, and then a 1, right? So now I know. Okay, so scales have intervals. All music's made up of intervals, but looking at intervals through diatonic lens. Diatonic means pertaining to a scale. That's what diatonic means. If you're in the diatonic system, your music is based on a scale. In our case, this lesson, we're diatonic based on the Lydian mode. That's a scale, okay? We're based on that. And so if we're based on a mode, then we're in this is our neighborhood, neighborhood of the Lydian neighborhood. That's what we're doing. If you're intervallic thinking, you can leave the mode and just play intervals. Put intervals together. Guitar is perfect for intervallic thinking, because we got shapes like for example, if I look at the interval 6 and I subtract it from 12, okay, that's a dominant interval because here's a 6, and it's dominant because it wants to go someplace. It wants to go there, right? It can go someplace else. It can go. Those are the two places that 6 would go, just to give a diatonic ending, right? And those places that a 6 goes, remember 6 is exactly half an octave. It's half an octave. So 6 is, this is the middle of the octave. Okay, and so that's where they want to go. And so you want to learn both systems. You want to understand the diatonic system, because if I'm going to go play a song. Georgia, I'm in Georgia. I'll play Georgia. And if you want intervals, those are chords. It's diatonic music. But all the chords are made of intervals. So I'm telling you why you're learning this, okay? Because I don't care about intervals. I just want to play some chords around the campfire at night. Okay, that's good. Learn chords. But in those chords, you have intervals, and it's always fun to know a little bit more about what it is you're doing. Okay? So stay tuned for lesson 1.3. And pretty soon we're going to be moving on to some other fun stuff, but we're always going to be loving the guitar, staying on the guitar. So until next time, I'm T.C. Jones. This is Music Interval Theory Academy material, and you can sign up. You can sign up in the academy. It's musicintervaltheory.academy. You can sign up and hang for a week. It won't cost you anything. You can look around, see what's there. But this is a special guitar section. So I will be putting a lot of these out until we get through the course. The main course is 56 big lessons. And you'll be able to compose. You're already going to start to compose because you're going to write a song, a plain song, and you know where it came from. It came from Lydia, right? Lydian mode in 600 BC. You know, you're a shepherd, right? You had a 6-tone flute, or sorry, an 8-tone flute. And an 8-tone flute, 6 tones, you know, it wouldn't even be pentatonic then. Anyway, so stay tuned, have fun, and I'll see you soon.